Last time, I kept working on this burrow boss, adding a few additional attacks and stuff like the decoy stuff, the ceiling debris, giving him a sprite, stuff like that. Here, I can pop in and go back to what I was fighting at the beginning of this. So this would be like an early game boss, where he pops up, spits some stuff, and he goes down. There's ceiling debris like that. And you just gotta bonk him on the head to get him. But as you get him, he'll like that little warning part of the animation will spawn up in multiple places with a slightly different color as the warning. If you try and prematurely bonk a decoy like this, you're gonna get blasted. So yeah, that's the idea. It's supposed to be in like the vein of the rat guy, where bonking him shouldn't be that hard. He's basically a stationary target. So if you just calm down, like handle it with patience, there should be no major challenge here. Although like these tuning values for like projectiles aren't final. Projectiles aren't final. They're not actually hitting me right now. Yeah, this still needs a tuning pass, but I think the core concept is fine. Anyway, yeah, that's what we did last week. We got it. We had this like halfway done, and we moved it up to have those additional behaviors and the decoy and stuff like that. And what I did offline is something I've been saying I'd be doing for such a long time that I finally got around to doing, which was like dynamically generating a spline that represents the path or a path through the spawn platforms. And here, let me show you what I mean by that. Go to our main level here. So yeah, see these four, each section of four circles basically is a potential path you could take up the vine, and you probably see. I don't know why it's so framey. Oh, I guess because I'm streaming. And also none of this stuff is going to be in the cat. It's the first time I'm opening up Unity. But you can see I can pretty well follow this path. Whereas if we like do a different example, it's awkward for me to follow this like straight line, these turns. That's why I want these dynamically generated curves. Oh, there's too many focus on the these dynamically generated curves that represent a path up the thing, to potentially spawn collectibles there. You don't have to go this way, but it's a way you can go, and we will put collectibles on that main, like coins and stuff, that main path. So yeah, that is what I did. What I focused on offline was twofold. First was learning about the existing Unity Spline system. They just have it as an optional package. Oh hey, Tyson in the chat. That's chill. But yeah, so first part was just like learning the details of that spline component. Second part was like describing possible paths through the sort of platforming layout made up of spline knots. You can see pretty good following here. It's not perfect. It definitely could be improved a little bit, but it's definitely way better than it was before. And also I was doing like a million raycasts before for the collectible thing. Now that was the sort of edge to tech before. It was like, okay, spawn a collectible raycast. Is this a place? No? Try again. It's forever. No, this is just a built-in Unity thing. It's not like a supplemental, or I guess it is supplemental and optional, but it's not third party. Just made by Unity. I would say, as far as I can tell, functionally works good so far. The edit, I am running into problems with editor integration here. Let me see if I can. Oh, I guess I don't have a spline yet. I can't show it. Yeah, so that's actually a good transition here. First task here is to actually make splines from knots. Where I played around with the spline component and like learned what I need to do. And then I did all this logic to generate knots. But I didn't actually put the two together yet. Oh, actually, I can go really quick and talk about, I should show that logic to pick the knots. Well, I guess that's a part of splines. So let's go to that logic. We're gonna go to scripts. I think it's under like MISC. Spline manager, yeah. Open paint as well. Ever. So basically the way I see it is there are 4 paths I set up here that you could take. I shouldn't have to sign in. This is community. So yeah, 4 paths. Go cross under, cross over. Oh, what just stole my focus? Cross over. And then same side inside or same side outside. The implications, there would be another platforms up here. So there are 4 potential paths you could take up to the next row of platforms. And I just have like a series of basically magic number-ish offsets. I say ish because they're like, I just set it up to basically dump positions along the jump. So they're based on the player's jump, but they're based on a snapshot of the player's jump, so it wouldn't consider things like jump upgrades. I guess I'll see when I get more into testing to what extent the divergence between you know, initial snapshot of jump values and the like later upgraded jump values messes with the ability to what's the word? Messes with the ability for the player to follow this line. Yeah, it probably could be structs here. I think there might be some degree of duplication because like I don't know, it's slightly different how much information is needed for each of these cases, right? Because these two are, or no, they're not. These, like outside cares if it's a one-way or a not. I mean, that's the thing. These aren't as similar as they look. I guess it's like it would be like an encapsulation thing, maybe where you do like this is a base, and then this is a more complicated version. This is a more complicated version. But I'm also not really like what I'm doing with the numbers. I don't think is consistent enough that I could like act on a general like offset struct. Maybe I could. That's something to think about. 'Cause I guess, yeah, the benefit is if you did want to modify, well, these numbers aren't the knots. These are the offsets to generate the knots based on platform data. Yeah, it's possible these could be collapsed down to one function. They're doing similar-ish, but not perfectly similar things. So that's like the thing. if I ask myself, they're never being consumed on their own. Oh yeah, I guess like I could say like, oh, the outside path data. But that's just an organization thing. I like that yeah, they could be maybe better organized like that, but I don't think it's actually buying me any common code paths. That makes sense. It would only be like an aesthetic organization, not an actual functional organization. But I think I should potentially review that. Um, can the various spline paths go down a common code path? I don't know, like a C sharp, I would have to instantiate a struct, right? If these are consts, um, that's annoying. Now on my start, I need to. If you come back in 6 months, are you going to hope that you indented properly? I don't think it cares about indents. C sharp. Not sure what you're referring to. Um, oh, I guess yeah, I have new lines. They're also in the name, right? There's like a. I don't know. It's like yeah, each of they could be function level, but I think this is just more um kinda. You know, sometimes I care about dynamic values of x, sometimes I care about constant values of x, like as an example here. Um you're going over, it's using the primary thing like deriving the x is the actual distance between the platforms, right? This x delta xn minus x start. Um whereas I believe like inside see this should even be deleted because it's not being used. So this is being driven by steps instead. Um, then like, you know, I could maybe say like, okay, there are two classes of this. There could be like distance driven and step driven, but then like, I'm abstracting for two things. Eh, it has to, you know, I think the rule is you abstract at three things. I don't have three things yet. But like I finishing the thought of this note is common code path. This may not be neat, and let's not use the size of this box, so let's wrap automatic. This may not be needed if you stick with 4 possible paths, but if you want the ability to expand to a larger amount of paths or the ability to consider the impact of changes in stats like move plus jump speed, you will need to generalize. Yeah, in some cases, I think they could be 2Ds. And I should, in cases where not mixing dynamic and const, like an offset of const should just have a vector 2 instead. Anyway, but main idea here is say these are 4 functions that take that big ass list of offsets and this platform spine data, which is whether or not it's a one-way platform and the position of the platform's center. And I believe this is offset in certain circumstances. Like if it's a tall platform, it'll offset it a little bit, or if it's a wide platform. Um, that's the idea. Our platform spawn isn't a platform spawner here. It's passing. Basically, it decides what platforms it wants to spawn, and then it tells the spline manager, hey, here's what I just spawned. Here's the positions. They're slightly offset by the bounds of the tile map if the tile map is a thing. And the spline manager's like, okay, based on these positions and the previous row positions you gave me, I can figure out roughly a path to like ascend up this row, right? And let me see, and there are a little bit of restrictions being enforced here. So in this get spline type function, start with saying, okay, here are, if it's a one-way platform, we can jump up under it, right? If it's not a one-way platform, you can't go under it. You'll get bonked. And then I also blocked the inside path, this path for one-ways. No one-ways for this path because it's just like awkward. You might as well just jump up. It feels weird. This really makes more sense if your destination is solid. This only makes sense if your destination is one way. So that's the first sort of restriction being placed, saying, okay, we can add either this one or this one based on whether or not it's a one way. And then it's like, okay, do I add this outside edge? Well, is there actually enough space? If the wall of the world is like here, and the outside edge would require me to jump into the wall of the world, then I can't actually make it. So it's checking the absolute value of the X position, which is like how far to the left or right it is, and it can't be beyond some max. Um, as long as it's under that max, then we can jump around the outside. And then the other check here is, okay, for this one, this over, I need to make sure that, because it's like this is the jump. If this is too close, if this is a solid platform, it will block my ability to um, do the over jump motion. So we also check this delta y. Yeah. And then if there are at least two types of things that we could have rolled, we remove the previous one. Whatever we rolled last time, not gonna roll it again this time. There are some exceptions, but usually rolling the same type in a row is like the most janky continuity for just the player's movement if he's trying to follow this path. And so, if we only have one possible choice in there, we can't remove it. But as long as we have more than one choice, we remove the previous choice. And then we just randomly roll from among the remaining choices after we applied all those conditions. So yeah, that is but these are just vector 3s spawning this debug sprite, basically. What we're going to actually do now is use the Spline library to spawn in Spline. And when we spawn in the Spline, we can use these like built-in interpolation functions that should make it easy for us to easier to set up a component to follow the path. So yeah, let's see. Take a sip. And we need to, on start, add a spline container. Start. Okay, it's not in here. It goes at the bottom. I say private void start. And up here at the top, we want a private spline container. And spline. On start, we'll say spline container equals add component. It's like game object dot add component spline container. Wait, do I need to add this at runtime? Maybe I don't. I think it's not happy if it has no splines in it, and that's why I was adding it at runtime. Let's try just getting it first and see if that problems actually happen. So be on our world manager, I believe. Yeah, spline manager there. Okay. Got a spline container. Oh yeah, see, there's a spline component. Yeah. So I think if you want to manage it on like a code level, it's easier to do this. Okay. We add our spline container on start, save it. Then I believe in our like post setup function here. What's this? We have the idea. The idea is already commented here. So we have to say spline container add spline, and we say the spline we just added to our spline container. Here are the knots. They're the values we calculated and passed in or whatever. I talked about that are currently be using for debug sprite positions. And this color stuff is just to make it clear to me what 4 sprites are a part of what Bezier. So it's just rolling a random color at the beginning and assigning it to all 4 sprites. So now there should actually be a spline. I think that's all we need to do. So let's find out if, right, or if I'm missing something. I don't think I'll be able to see any indication of this without inspecting the component. Which, like I was saying earlier, although the spline is like pretty functional from a code perspective, let's see, this probably isn't right. Only one value is set here. I know what I did. This is in the yeah. This is in the loop. It needs to be at the end of the loop. All right, first problem solved. Let's find the next problem. Okay. There's the starter one. Let's look at this one here. So, manager, spline. Okay, all four knots have positions, so this looks better. But yeah, here, I guess we'll see if it works or not. When I was trying this before, would not be able to draw these splines at runtime. Yeah, see, I get exceptions. So that's like the kind of bummer is it works, but like there are problems as well. At least in the editor. I can't, that's why I had to add in these debug sprites, because scene view doesn't let me visualize these splines. Anyway. I guess I should jump up like halfway through and then just do a sanity check on the spline values I'm seeing and make sure that like the number of spline values I'm seeing is in line with my expectations. All right, that's probably enough. That's roughly halfway. Take a look at our world manager here. Okay, 13 splines seems right? Then let's say line 13 here. Y values in the 90s should be similar to the player's Y values. Player is at 82. So yeah, that seems right. It would have been the chunk above the player. Seems reasonable to me. I think we can say we have made splines from knots. So the next thing would be to actually use the spline for something. And I think we're gonna make a generalized component, but I plan to use this for collectibles. Um, I want the collectibles to spawn along this path the player can take. Probably like chasing like some shiny thing, like some I don't know, some shader ball. Uh, that will be sort of as it passes over the coins and stuff like that will spawn under it. So the first part of that is like a generalized component to follow this spline. So let's create a empty object called spline follower. Set it to a 0, 0 position, and I know there's spline animate here. It's gonna say I don't have a spline container set. Okay. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. We're gonna organize this a little bit better with children. I think I can just say like new game object. Let's see. Here we make our spline container. Instead of adding it to ourselves, let's try adding it to a new game object. Call it spline container child. New game object. Same name. And I add this spline container to that. And then I also will make a spline container or spline animator child. And say spline animator is equal to spline animator child dot add component spline animator spline animate. And then we say spline animator dot spline or something. Spline container equals the one spline container we just spawned. Okay. So it doesn't like this. Oh, use container instead. Sure. Okay. So the idea here is now instead of just plopping this all in the world manager, it's going to create two children. One of those children is going to hold the spline, and one of those children is going to hold a spline animator. Put a sprite on the spline animator in a second, just to sort of like mess around with interpolating this and figure out how we want to follow it. This failed for sure. Oh, this is the crashing of that spline animator I just added. Get out of here. Nope, still. Oh, I guess it wants a position, or I need to actually set it to a transform. I need to set the child. So yeah, that's part of game object. If I say transform dot parent game object. Is that enough? Let's find out. I need to be dot transform. All right. Hopefully it gets rid of these crashes. Not, I don't. Hey, is it nan by default? Oh, because the spline doesn't exist yet? Interesting. And just, it's not a fatal exception. Just like sort of continue through it. And okay. So let's go ahead and pause here. Have child objects we want. So that's nice for the organization here. Maybe we should have like a spline child to organize all of this. But for now, let me play around with this animator. A sprite render. Circle. Okay, let's make it like a really obvious color. Black. Okay. Oh, and then layer like 50. All right, we need to align this to something else. Align object, I think. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So you can see here, I'll zoom in. You can see this is just consistently t to 0 to 1 is using the entire parent spline. See if I reset and I loop it, will it show up in game? Let's see. You can see it's following the path. So, oh crap, thorns. Oh, I guess I can see how it looks. Okay, yeah, so this kind of works, but I guess it might be it's not a obvious how I should advance this T value. You know what I mean? Where the goalpost is constantly changing. And you can see because it just has a constant speed, but the spline is getting longer and longer and longer. It's eventually gotten here to like a ridiculous speed. Where you might not even see it flashing through the screen anymore. It is here, I can turn it back down. Yeah, so if I turn the duration way up, it'll go back to a reasonable speed. See, I have to wait, I might die before it gets me. Oh, there it is, see? It's still pretty fast. So that's an interesting question. How do you especially when the splines are not necessarily of an equal length, how do you convert from T to T? You know what I mean? T in the context of the previous spline, T in the context of the new spline. It's like a mini math problem here to think about. Here, I can show what I mean if it's not clear, right? Say we have 2, 4, give me a different color, and say this is a significantly different length spline, right? I actually need more vertical space as well. Okay, so all this is equal to T, or T along this path, value from 0 to 1. Right? And say we're like, I don't know, here. And this is equal to T equals 0.8. Then undo it. So I just want the points. Get these points. Okay. And I'll copy this back. So say the very next instant, the very next frame, you spawn a new like subspline, right? T is now still the same. Well, it's not the same path. It's the same path for 2/3 of it. Now one goes here. And at the instant that spline is spawned, we have to figure out this T. To be able to like have a continuous follow of the path. It's not going to be 0.8 anymore. It was 0.8 in the context of this spline. It's going to be some lower value now in the context of the greater spline. I think this is very doable if it exposes the lengths to me, but I'm not 100% sure if it does. Let's find out. Let's see what we can do with our spline. So here, this spawn next platform spline. What's making the next segment? Here's what's calculating knots and putting sprites on them. So if I say like, I have a spline here and a spline container. So if I say spline container that length, calculate length. Okay. So this can be, I'm assuming this is the entire length. And then if I say spline.length, I also can get this length as a float. I assume this is what I want. Maybe this is what I want? I have to look. Oh, I think get length is what I want. All right, let's see if that's true. So we're gonna have a like counter of our total plan, I guess, will be to here, let me need more space again. So the plan would be grab and put a big. Okay, so we should have this value here that we can call like L1. And this value, I guess we also need this delta. I don't know, yellow. Call this L1 delta. Then here we have L2. So we can say that T over I guess L full, say. equals, I don't know, like, I guess it would be t equals x over L full, and we know it's 0.8. So you can do 0.8 times L full, which is equal to x, and x in this case is this distance. And then I can just take like t prime then is x over L full prime. So as just going through an example, let's say this L2 is equal to, or like L full base equal to 20 units, and say L full prime is equal to 30 units, and we have t is equal to 0.8. So we do 0.8 times L full x equals 20 times 0.8 or 16, and therefore t prime equals 16 over 30 to be something like 53-ish. So in theory, we can just say to our animator, the frame we get this addition, and we get the addition of L3, that t can be reduced like this. Okay. So let's see if we can put that into practice here. One thing I want to fix though, I was thinking on the spline animators, it's like orientation or something. Alignment mode, or alignment, I guess. To spline object. I think that's the cause of the nans. Let's double check that really quick. Still getting nans. What the heck? Oh, because the spline has nothing in it yet. Maybe I should. Let's do this on the first spline instead. So spawn start platform spline. This is the first one. Settle this stuff up. Let's also on the spline animator here. Actually, let's make this a helper function. I don't know if I'll necessarily want it in this form long term. This is still a tiny bit experimental, right? So if I want to be able to remove it quickly. Spawn, spline. Here. Okay, hopefully this will get rid of our nans here. We'll see. Yeah, nans are gone. Cool. Doesn't look like it spawned a spline animator. Yeah. Wait, there it is. Right. Oh, it doesn't have a sprite. That's right. Okay. I think we're gonna have to save it as well. Animator. Change this to Spline animator. Oh, whoops, wrong type. Okay. We have our animator now. Let's give it a sprite as well, Ron. You know what? Let's just make a prefab for this. Why am I setting the mode to the same thing every time? I will have to, update the container at runtime anyway, but like, might as well just have an object with the sprite and create an empty spline, sprite, spline, animator. 0 set it spline animate to object. Yeah. These can all stay. It's fine, but add the sprite renderer at layer 50. Switch from lit to unlit. Shouldn't have to care about lights. With a circle. And well, yeah, white should be fine. Make it slightly bigger as well. Okay. Save it as a prefab. Delete it from the world. We can go in here and have a private game object spline animate that here in our function. Instead of an empty child, we instantiate prefab, and we can say transform our set it to be a child of ourselves. Don't need any position. To spline animator child. Okay. And we don't have to add the spline animate. We do have to set the container. I guess I have to get component instead. Set the container. Alignment doesn't need to be set. Parent doesn't need to be set. It's set as part of the instantiate. What else? I guess as an initial speed, let's say duration is equal to spline container get length or something. Spline container an object? No. Calculate length. Say half of its length, its initial speed. Okay. Is our prefab called? I'm sure it has spline in its name. Yep. I hit none by accident. Okay. Oh, it immediate. Why is it immediately going to the end? Let's see. It should be looping. Huh. Oh, there's some issue with the duration. Something's wrong here. Calculate length must be coming to 0. Is that right? Or is it just not setting properly? Maybe calculate length doesn't do what I want. Find out. To at least confirm that it is the length that is coming through 0. Okay. Yeah. Or I need to see in the console. Yeah, it is saying 0. Let's take a look at docs. Might be that I need to wait till the next frame or late update or something. At the docs. This would be on a spline container. Take a look at the implementation. Calculate the length of spline in world space. Guess let's add this to every time we do this. See if it changes. See if it's like off by 1, if it's old, or it's just not doing anything and I'm misunderstanding the interface. I'm using Unity Splines, which only been using it for like a week or so. They seem to mostly do what I want, but sometimes be a little bit unstable in editor. See, this definitely is right. I keep getting 0, 0, 0, so I must be using the interface incorrectly. Maybe I need to get the... I mean, I can do this same idea just by tallying up these individual links if that's all it wants to give me. I guess I should double check the spline container object has the stuff I expect it to. Oh, is that in the asset store? Is it free? I could check it out. It's like the main logic here I've implemented here is you know, what's it called? Like the not calculation. So swapping out to like now would be the time to check out a different implementation if it'd be easier to use. Maybe that's something I can check out this weekend. Anyway, why we're seeing, let's get rid of the duration setting to see if it just set it to, I don't know why length is coming through 0. I'll have to check it out. Or more, but just for the purpose of making sure it's animate, let's say, okay, animate over 10 seconds. So I just want to double check that it's like it should be jumping around because we're not applying that calculation yet, but is it like roughly doing the thing I want it to? Okay, yeah, it's just gonna take a very okay, it's gonna go faster and faster with each thing that goes because it's doing a yeah. Okay. So that's just sort of like explaining this problem I was talking about where like t here and t here are different values. Double check though, maybe give me an ability to, I think there is a setting related to that. Yeah, if I change it from time to speed, now it'll be a constant speed, I think. Does it still jump around? Let's see. Thanks for the link. I think, yeah, I think the play here, I'm gonna grab that and put it in my notes. Yeah, definitely check it out. Uh, shh. Let me get this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and continue on with the built-in and then like get an idea of how much like troubles I'm facing, how well it's working, and then try swapping in this other alternative this weekend and see if find it easier to use if it's like solving the problems I'm running into. So I can just set the speed. I don't think it is relevant. Oh right, the thing I was checking the notes and stuff, but the main thing I wanted to check is if I set the speed, do I even need to update t as the length of the spline changes, or is it not even care? Let's see. Oh yeah, see, it's still not correct because I'm into the actual object. I guess it's yeah. Okay. So this is doing like a speed over an amount of time, and I assume it is determining like the amount of time one full rotation should be based on the length of the thing indirectly. But I think I want to just revert back to duration, just dynamically update. But I guess I need the ability to get to actually get the length. Which, if I check the console, I'm pretty sure it's just dumping 000, yeah. Oh, it got me. So, why is that? Maybe I need to, would be happy if I instead get an individual spline. Say if I do mspline container get spline or something. Splines. Yeah, and I feel like that is how it should work, you know? I feel like that's one of the primary things you'd want. Um, I wonder if maybe I'm just giving them too much benefit of the doubt that I assume I'm using the interface incorrectly somehow. A calculate length would just give me a reasonable distance if I like call some prep function, but it's not documented, so like, is that really my fault? I don't know. Let me try to see if I do msplines, say 0. Is there a length for this? See how this comes out. So it wouldn't update. It'd be no, he's 0, 0, 0. The problem is, without being able to get the length, I'm not sure how I can avoid this skipping as the length of the. Do I not need to use rebuilds? Let me see. Yeah, I always feel weird about like looking at. I guess I guess it's the it's sort of the faster way. But I do feel weird about like just looking at Google search page and through documentation and stuff. I'm streaming. I feel like I'm not doing something. Like if I'm just struggling around, um, not getting the right idea. I don't know. Let me see if there is. I don't see rebuild in IntelliSense. Um, but let me see if I can find what you're looking at. Oh, okay. That I wonder where a dynamically generated spline like I'm doing here is does that need to do I need to use spline extrude? I wonder what the difference is like spline extrude spline container here. So I could just I could manually use this like with evaluate at my own T, I guess. Right? Then I'm not using the spline animator. Um does that matter, I guess? Look at spline extrude. Yeah, so I could um just track of this myself. So I guess I don't really have any good way to do the transformation if I can't figure out the length. I mean, so far as I just maybe I should take a look. Package. It's just not working. And you know, I'm not really seeing the what's it called? Not seeing hey, let me try this one other function. If I evaluate it .5, right? Are you getting a correctish value? Is it 0 again? This is giving me a 0. I'm out. I'm gonna go switch to a different solution. But if this at least lets me evaluate manually at T, I can work with it. Where did I do the other one? Oh, this one. Yeah, each little roadblock I'm hitting here is yeah, maybe I just pass identity to that other one. Hey, hold on, let me see what evaluate's giving me back, and then I'll try passing identity to the other and get length. Give me nans. So something is missing for sure. I think you're right. It would be something like rebuild. Or I need to call some reinitialize function, make it happy. I'm not sure what that function is. So I can't evaluate either. Evaluate is giving me nans. And not sure. Well, it's only if I completely if I say all right, yeah, so calculate length. Instead of get length, if I say calculate length with float by 4 identity, right? Because I just want the normal, complete normal stuff. But I think there must be like some base cast method I should be calling, like similar to that rebuild thing you mentioned for spline extrude. It's like it probably has like cache data to some extent. And when I'm adding stuff at runtime, it's not like rebuilding that cache for whatever reason. I mean, because I'm not calling whatever prerequisite. Oh, I see. I am using it incorrectly, I believe. Oh, and cool. Yeah, this. Wait a second. How could it have gotten shorter? This is suspicious to me. It must be like the most recently added spline or something. Okay, let's clear. It needs to gradually get larger and larger. It's not the value I'm expecting. Yeah, these are giving me the sub-spline lengths, I think, like the most recent or maybe from 0. It's fine. I could work with that. It's good to know something works here. Looks like you were right thanks for that suggestion. Looks like this different overload works how I expect it to. And the other thing I saw when I was poking around while I was waiting for that compile load, they recommended like spline utility to get stuff out of the spline instead. So I'm just, what if I do this? Oh wait, oh wait, this is spline. That's what I would have wanted. So it makes sense that that was the independent value. Does this work? Is this also a supported function? No, okay. Okay. This is all I need. I just have to count it up myself. That's fine. Right. Basically what happened is, okay, I spawned my first spline. Get L0. Wait, I have this over here already. I started at 1. I'm a madman. All right, L1. I can just save it. I save this position. And then I know not 0 at this time, so I can calculate this delta, and we just accumulate up our L. Undo delete identity? Not sure what you... Yeah, this is spline container. I wanted to see, okay, can the container just tell me the total length? And the answer seems to be no. Calculate is... it takes, yeah, Yeah, that's what I was calling before though, that kept giving me 0, at least this base version. Maybe I need to call the index version, and just like I should know my index, or I can keep track of it relatively easily. Right, I could say something like private int m num spawn splines is 0, and then in my first one, that's like a hard-coded one, say, or yeah, plus equals 1 is fine. And then I can plus equals 1 here and use the index here. See if that works, just to make it a little bit simpler. I guess like that's kind of the same as using the spline with identity. Let's see if it also works. I guess it's slightly simpler. But yeah, we're just gonna we add this up, we include the delta, we'll get probably close enough. Thinking. I think that there will be some what's it called? We'll get slightly off by applying the delta, but that's probably fine. It'll probably be close enough. How long have I been a coder? A while. I mean, I guess I've been doing it more and more recently. I've been streaming for like a couple months now, every Tuesday game dev, just to get that habit going and make a bigger project than the game jams I've been doing in the past. I went to school learning how to make games, but then I got the boring corporate version of a game job. So I work as a computer programmer, um, but you know, it's in like enterprise software stuff where you're not really necessarily solving like huge problems. Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that I don't know. I think that's just a preference thing. Like yeah, technically I could do the fucking postfix, right? Um, but I don't know. I guess I like having the discrete like, before and after the index. Because like say I wanted this index for something else up here, I like then the order of the statements where I reference the index matters. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I typically prefer just like the explicit increment rather than like the syntactic sugar of index increment as it's used. Oh, is it just gonna automatically? Oh, does it have like the PowerShell like syntax where you can do like this is a PowerShell string and just R? Gotcha. Oh yeah, yeah. So similar, kind of similar to the PowerShell syntax. What was I doing though? Oh, I'm distracted. Oh right, right. Yeah, we want to see if indexing still is giving us a correct length. And if it is, then we can start counting up our like length sum. We have a length sum, then we know how to transform our t value so it's continuous despite the spline growing. Okay, yeah. We're seeing, values roughly within the range of what we would expect, like a little bit 9 to 13. So we're seeing before. And they're different values every time, probably correct. So can have private float m spline total length started 0. Go to this like hard coded start thing. I think I also might need to review the relationship between this class and like the calling class. I find it's kind of awkward that I'm like throwing stuff in this start function versus like the advance function. But But since like I'm not in charge of calling these things, they're called by other people. I don't really have the setup necessarily to fix it here. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh, right. I need to calculate. It should just actually be in spawn spline info. That's the common path. Oh yeah, I'm already in here. So it's not spawn splined. It was something else, right? It was spline total length plus equals length. Okay, and our number here is just like a proportion, basically. So we can say float previous or current distance is equal to spline animator dot t, right? Can I get the t? Time, is it? Normalized time? So the normalized time times spline total length before I increment it. And then I can get new time is equal to, after the increment, new time is equal to, what's it again? X is this length. So yeah, it's just X over the new length. So current distance over the new spline total length. Yeah, and then update normalized time. I guess I don't really need it as a variable. And say like new total length. I can try that other syntax. Okay, yeah. Uh-oh, crash. What didn't I set? It's on 114. Oh, I see. We only to do this, well, still get the length and increment the total length. Say like new length. No, new length is misleading. New segment length. Yeah. And then we only do this if this is greater than 0. So we skip the first time because we don't need to do any transformation. I guess maybe we should say like else here. We can say mSpline animator play, and we will go to the prefab and make it not play on awake. So when it hits that first case, we will it hits this first case, we'll turn it on. If it's and every subsequent case, we will update its T in accordance with this plan here. It's not using the delta yet. You can try that. No. Same problem, 115. So I hit F instead of G. Oh, right. Yeah. I'll just say put and previous length here, and total length was, I guess I just plus equals segment length. Okay, and then here this needs to go down in here, and what else? Oh right, this needs to use previous length instead. So this is determine new T based on new spline length. Again? 126. What happens? Oh, right. Yeah. It's not going to be there yet. So we don't need this. Well, we do need this, but it doesn't go here. It goes here. Although I guess, it's fine. I was going to say, this is just basically the same thing as play on awake. But, it's fine. It is the same, so it'll have the same consequence. No crash, no crash. Hey, but also no stuff. No updating our T value, or it's upgrading incorrectly. Let's see. Moving? Not playing? Okay. It's moving with me. I guess I probably need some kind of limit control. I want it to be similar to the Vine, where it can't get too far ahead of me. Oh yeah, but see right there, it might be moving slightly. Yeah, it's moving slightly because of I assume because of accumulated delta. But if we incorporate that, maybe we can maybe be correct. But you can see it's way less jumpy. It's getting much closer. We've lost it. It went all the way back down to the bottom, I guess. Let's see it. Where'd you go, Spline Animator? Oh yeah, it's making its way back up. Oh, I died to the thorns first. Oh, this isn't working. I'm gonna go back to play on awake. The fact that I can figure it out, but why? It was working before. Changed a thing that should have been the same, but it wasn't, so you know. There you go. Okay. So let's add that delta. Closest T is distance. Oh, that would be an easier way to do it. Let's see, does it? Like, Evaluate position, maybe? Does this give a T? Yeah, how do I... I want the opposite, basically. I want to give it a position and get a T back. Right? But I think all I need to do, in theory, this transformation should be mathematically equivalent if I just add this delta value. I think. But it would be way easier if Unity could just do it for me. Maybe it's on the animator? No. Maybe it is on a spline. No. Get curve maybe? No. Oh wait, this could be better. Get curve interpolation from an index and a distance. I think that might be what I want if it doesn't have the ability to just get. Looks like it probably doesn't. Yeah, I can do. This can tell me a T within a curve, but not actually what I want, I don't think. Is there anything on the container that sort of does that? So yeah, and again, like all these things that are like slightly not working as I would expect. I think I am gonna definitely try that other Spline package this weekend and see if that smooths it out. The other thing that bothers me so much is you can't visualize it. That's why I have these debug sprites being dropped everywhere that are like the knots. Because if I try to visualize the Unity built-in, it does a Stack Overflow. I feel like, and I'm not like using some janky old out-of-date version. I'm using latest. Maybe I shouldn't be using latest. Maybe I should be like n-2, like 2 or something. Anyway, let's see if just like that simple delta makes any significant difference. So it would be something like private vector 2 m previous last not pos start vector 2 0. Then here, where are we setting another previous thing? No, basically here is the end. Is equal to knots for, or I guess it's knots length minus 1, because I could take any amount of points. Yeah, I thought calculating the knots would be the like I had done all the hard work and now I would just get to use the package nicely. But there definitely has been more friction in trying to get this package to do what I want than I expected. Did not you not do float float 3 I really fine. It's so annoying to me. I feel like there should be a convert. Uh, last not pos 3. Okay. Then up here, say first not pot 3. This. And then we set a vector 2. This is first not pos, and then we can get a delta between spline vec is first not pos minus and previous last not pos. Then we say the spline total length is equal to the new segment length plus this between spline vec dot magnitude. And in theory, this little difference should explain that jumping, but I guess we'll see if that's true in practice. Yeah, it's still slightly off. So I didn't do something? No, I mean, yeah. Maybe it's just maybe I should. Does lerping to new pos? Not sure exactly what you mean. Oh, the oh. Oh yeah, it's just I don't know how the spline animator is. I'm just passing the lerp t to the spline animator component, right? Um, which I assume is doing the lerp under the hood. Yeah, I mean it's got the ease and stuff like that. Yeah, I would think this is doing the lerp for me. I feel like if I have to lerp it myself, I might as like what is it even doing for me? It's just a container of low threes. Fit. Surprised spline animator doesn't give you anything else. Maybe is there a helper I should be using instead of just writing normalized time, perhaps? I don't see it, if there is there. But it's technically, I think from the perspective, the spline animator is trying to act on the spline container, right? Which is it is doing the thing. I don't know if I can give this spline animator a particular spline. Yeah, no, it takes a spline container. Like I get what you're saying is that you could, all right, like I can trust the spline animator to smoothly lerp me through this spline, then I should manually take over the lerp from spline to spline um, myself, and then just like basically hand it off between these different splines. Like I take over the between. I don't think Spline Animator supports that. I guess what I could do is I could have n spline containers, right? Each only with one spline, and then I could, when it reaches the end of each spline animation, then I do the lerp, and then hand it the new spline container when it gets to the end of the between lerp. But I wonder if that it's gonna. It seems like it should be able to be more. Maybe it's more efficient if uh have the it all being in one spline container. Um, the animator is just I'm not sure what the animator is doing. Yeah, I think it might just be setting the transform directly. I think what I can try is this like distance to interpolation thing. Right? Does my spline animator distance spline? It's on one of these things. Okay, so it must be the spline container. Spline utility? Get point at linear distance, perhaps? Oops, can't spell linear. Given a spline and interpolation radio, calculate the 3D point at linear distance. The point at evaluate. This is the reverse of what I want. Oh, wait. Yeah, see, this gives me the T out, so maybe it is what I want. Let's see, let me try this out. Good, you happy with that? No? Oh my god, it's so annoying. Oh, I think spline utility might be. So if I say spline container here, from T, is whatever the T is. Get rid of this. This is the from T. And then I guess I can say I can say I want to go some amount of distance. It's crazy how not awesome. It's crazy. Just like reading this document here, and show what I'm looking at. Just like it's so the interpolate the what the word documentation is so bare bones. Like I'm not even here. I need to be here. This is what I want. Interpolator utility. Guess what I could do though? It seems kind of silly. I could get position and then see if that works. So the idea would be I get the oh, this is something else. I can after I calculate sort of I have my normalized time right. I already added the spline. Yeah, I already added the spline. What I can do is I can say spline container get position spline utility. Yeah, different. Is it not a value? Yes. Evaluate position, right? Yeah. Evaluate position at this. Okay, so this will give me the position I would jump to, and then I can do spline utility. It's like interpolation or something. Not that one. What is it? It's like linear or something. Get point at linear distance from M spline container from whatever the current normalized time is, the t value. Relative distance would be look that link. Yeah. I actually made it gethun.com and it's like apparently some scam site. Okay. What's the point of line segment? Yeah, honestly, taking a look at this, I just want to use it instead. I'm being honest. Yeah, you're showing me like these helpers that are like, I'm trying to, do controverted. Oh, I'll get this delta, then I can go backwards to get this point, and then I can move forwards to the new t value I want. I think this is just sort of the evidence what you've been saying from the beginning, which is uh, this free asset is able to do a lot of this stuff a lot easier. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna get this into this. Make sure it's get rid of all the debug code, all the temporary code type stuff. Just like get this to a point where I can know I can commit it as it's being in a stable state, and then gonna in the rest of this week and over the weekend I'm gonna check that out, and then I think I'm gonna swap it out over the existing the default Unity implementation I'm using. Which is kind of a shame because when I saw that they like had a built-in spline package, I was like, oh nice, I'm not gonna have to implement this myself. I'm not gonna have to like pay a bunch of money or worry about a potential problems in a third-party package. But yeah, just I don't know. If it were just me not knowing how to mess around with the interface or whatever, like that I can probably figure out with like a dedicated sort of doc reading session type deal. But just a lot, it doesn't have a lot of the interfaces I would expect it to have. And then also it bums me out that it fails to render in the scene viewer. Like as an example here, let me find one of my splines, right? Or I guess there's only one spline. Spline container child. In theory, this button here should show me all the spline anchors and stuff. But if I hit it, yep, Stack Overflow exception. Somehow the internal spline implementation is popping and pushing GUI elements incorrectly. And that annoys me. Yeah. I think this is going to be the way to go for sure. But probably can't make that switch over tonight. So I think I'm just like I said, I'll have like sort of this example experience, which was honestly a little bit frustrating. It got roughly where I wanted it to go, but still not perfect and kind of counterintuitive. And then I'll have the other experience of implementing what's it called? Using this third-party package. And again, thanks for the link to that. I definitely appreciate it, especially in the wake of these frustrations with the built-in. You just double check my delta here and make sure this looks fine. Yeah, I just want to get rid of all like the temporary code for this what I'm committing as sort of like a work in progress first pass at this. It just needs comments, I think. Say, oh wait. Need. Oh, this say try to transform t based on previous length, previous t value or previous length of spline compared to new length of spline. It ends up being a little jumpy in practice. Applying the between vec magnitude is not sufficient to accurately represent the position, the distance along the sort of meta path. And so here is where we sort of spawn, debug, sprites, at not positions. And here, add spline to spline. Add new spline to container. Add new animation T based on spline length. And that's all fine. This eval I don't need. Spawn in animator after first spline has been spawned. It's fine. What else is in the delta? Spawn, spline, impl. So I don't need either. Okay. Spawn, splines. That one I want, but God, hit plus by accident when I was trying to hit enter. Not this, not this. This, right? Oh, I guess no, I do need it here if I am only incrementing it in this case. I am. That makes sense? I don't think so. Let me just do this instead. So it was like wrong for my intentions, but it ended up working out correct in actuality. Anyway, yeah, so we're getting rid of this. We're just going to call in the impl to increment the count. Just double check that still works like we expect it to. But I think a pretty strong chance we are going to switch to a different implementation here. Oh, dang, really? Yeah, I would think it seems like a area that's like I'm just gotta do this. For some reason it stops hearing my inputs, but it seems like an area that's like super ripe for optimization. So yeah, for sure. Especially if you know, let's see. These heights are like up to I think 200, I think. So if we're doing 200, these we're talking about something like on each level 80 splines roughly, or not 80, 20 splines roughly 80 knots. So even if I do a little bit of extra work that I'm planning to do to just like pre-roll all these things, pre-calculate everything in a little like, you know, a progress bar loading screen. Even if I do that, we'd still prefer a more performant solution. And it's definitely good to hear that it's performant even to like a really high amount of points and travelers. So yeah, to get rid of that junk didn't mess up. Let's just take one last look at the diff. Yeah, this all looks fine now. Yeah, this looks fine now. Okay. So we can hop back to the OneNote here. And we're gonna give ourselves like half a thing here. And add some notes. Just say Unity Spline impl has some usability frustrations in addition to I have the is that a playlist of him implementing the package? Yeah, that could, even though I probably would not what's it called? Probably wouldn't want to roll my own. But the cool thing about something like this is if I don't understand an interface, I can probably guess the point where that interface was added pretty well. and just like hear him talk about it. Yeah. Or yeah, if I need something slightly different, right? I can go see him explain the base math. Say like, okay, but I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z slightly differently to get the tweak on the behavior I want. Um, anyway, Unity Spline impl has some usability frustrations in addition to stability slash editor integration problems. Going to try switching to above linked path tool. Can still use the same Bezier or calculated Bezier knots. Just going to use a different sort of, what's the word, implementation under the hood in terms of interacting with the generated curve. So yeah, here I'll jump through the level one more time. Make sure everything's looking cool and stuff. Yeah, considering I get for work purposes, I probably got to go around like 8:45, 9. We're probably just gonna call it here after we do one last jump through, make sure no unexpected crash is being committed. So yeah, I guess on one hand, a little bit disappointing from a progress perspective. We wanted our coins being spawned along this line. We wanted like some kind of like shiny, shader graph sun traveling the line to spawn the coins. Hit some unexpected problems with Unity's spline implementation and just sort of some degree of it's just my limited understanding and limited experience. But in all the sort of test runs I've done here, I haven't seen anything. I mean, we got like a few not ideal ones here that probably need to consider the X bounds of the tile map. But for the most part, these Bezier knots seem to like accurately describe a possible path up through the vine, which is like what I wanted. And swapping out a different, what's it called, spline implementation should let me move forward with this, hopefully in an easier way. I want to thank, DevBB in chat. I really appreciate you tuning in and the advice, and especially the link, because you can think about it, like just random chance he hadn't tuned in today, I might, be banging my head against the wall trying to reverse engineer Unity interfaces with like a sentence worth of documentation. So I definitely appreciate those links. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me for tonight. Just gotta work and such. Two things you need to simplify the new package. Okay, I see. Is this basically like helper? Yeah, I got you. Like little helper functions or helper classes, I guess. Yeah. Much appreciated. Just want it to be under a bullet. We can put this in one indentation, some helper functions that I'm assuming help with Unity integration. Okay. All right. I think we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, I think next Tuesday I'll be able to show off like sort of the goals here. Hopefully, I'll have my shiny collectible spawner going up the path with our new thing. In which case, I'll probably revert back to the previous plan of doing the fourth boss in the next stream. So yeah, here's hoping next stream I'll finish this collectible implementation. I got you. Yeah. Bezier, yeah. Bezier knots instead. Maybe fast and Bezier knot overload as well. I think it's like that. So yeah. offline, we're gonna get this good. Hopefully, I'll be able to show it off next Tuesday. I'll jump around, collect collectibles. It'll be fun and cool, and then I'll move back to boss implementation and start working on the fourth boss. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the advice and links for sure, and have a good night.